Most people think great sales is about persuasion, being smooth, confident, and convincing. They imagine the fast talker who can overcome objections and close anyone. But the highest performing salespeople that make the most difference for themselves and their companies in the long term don't persuade first. They understand first. Consultative selling means engaging customers through curiosity, empathy, and problem solving rather than pressure. It means the salesperson becomes a guide instead of a pushy performer. And this isn't philosophy, it's science. Decades of industrial organizational research show that the traits most strongly tied to job performance in sales are not charm or likability, but conscientiousness, emotional stability, and cognitive ability. In plain language, the people who prepare, listen, think, advise others, and follow through outperform the people who simply talk well and stimulate others into buying. Let me illustrate. Imagine two salespeople selling the same product. The first walks in with energy and launches into features and runs through a polished presentation. The second walks in and says, "Before I explain anything, help me understand what made you start looking." One is persuading, one is diagnosing and showing interest in why someone wants to buy. And in complex or high-dollar, high-trust sales, diagnosis always beats persuasion. It's the same difference between a doctor who hands you medicine before asking symptoms and a doctor who listens before prescribing. One feels dangerous. One feels professional. Customers don't want to be sold. They want to be understood. That's why consultative selling consistently produces higher close rates, better customer satisfaction, more referrals, and longer relationships. Persuasion can win transactions. Consultation wins loyalty and long-term customers. Persuasion says, "Here's why you should buy." Consultation says, "Let's understand what you need before we decide." Now, here's the uncomfortable truth for business owners. Not everyone is wired for consultative selling. Some people naturally default to talking, controlling what's said with their pitches, impressing others, and rushing to a close. Consultative selling requires something different: a listener with empathy, someone with moderate assertiveness, optimism, low ego dominance, and a problem-solving orientation. These are not just skills, they are traits. And they are actually traits that work better at home too. That's why two people can receive the same training and one becomes trusted while the other becomes pushy. The training didn't change who they were underneath. This is where most hiring systems fail. They hire based on resumes, confidence in interviews, enthusiasm, and how motivated someone seems to be. But confidence doesn't always predict consultative behavior. In fact, it can work against it. The more someone needs to perform, the less they listen. When companies hire people who are wired for persuasion but expect consultative selling, they create friction. The customer feels pressured, management explains the script again, and nothing really changes. It's like hiring sprinters and expecting them to win marathons. They're both runners, but the wiring is different. Consultative selling works best when the person is emotionally built for patience, the tendency to serve someone's needs, emotional control, and collaboration with others. And those traits can be measured. When you measure them, you stop guessing, you stop hiring on hope, you start hiring on probability. That's the shift from can they sell anything to how will they naturally sell what you sell. Because sales style is not just learned, it's expressed. The businesses that win long-term are the ones that stop trying to turn everyone into the same type of salesperson and start selecting people whose natural tendencies match their sales environment, which, of course, could be a self-focused, pitch-oriented one or a consultative one. If your business depends on trust, customization, and long-term relationships, you don't just need training, you need people wired for consultation. That's why consultative selling consistently beats persuasion, especially in complex or high-dollar sales. Not because it's nicer, but because it aligns with human behavior, with customer psychology. Thank you for tuning in today as we help you recruit and coach the very best salespeople. In the weeks ahead, we will dive down into what it takes for a great consultative sales force, one that wins with high numbers and incomes each and every month. Give us a call to tell us your needs. We'll be ready to listen before we advise.